on from Eric Bledsoe. It's funny how we talk about Bledsoe and Brogdon because our next player on our list is Malcom Brogdon. Should have kept him in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who, again, if you look at his stats, you could even argue he's
He
higher.
should be higher, yeah.
Yeah, he was a guy who put up 16 and 7 last year. And but
No.
looking at that alone, it obviously seems great. He's a good shooter too. He was
Yeah.
third on the list in free throw percentage, let alone being a very good three-point shooter.
He was down year from 3 last year, but overall very good,
Yeah, very good.
reliable.
Exactly. To me, there's a couple reasons I would say for me he just falls a bit low. I guess historically, I just feel like he's more of a shooting guard. I do feel like Oladipo is going to get traded from that Pacers team. They like Aaron Holiday a lot. He's very, very stingy on defense, where Malcolm Brogdon struggles more, which is again is why he's lower for me on this list. He was 64th in steals. He did up under a game. And when you're a point guard, like I think you at least need to have the ability to get a steal per game if you want to be an elite guy in this league. So that's what's keeping him outside of, I'd say, the top 20. But again, if he's a shooting guard, then it could be different. Where if he still has a great ability to pass the ball, he's pretty tall for the position still. He could shoot very well, and then you take some defensive pressure off him too. But right now, because of the lack of defense, I have him as low as we did.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me too, was the lack of defense. But in all reality, like you're talking about how he should be better at shooting guard. And typically, I would have agreed with that. And then I looked at him last year. He ran that floor ideally in there in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
He got 7 assists per game. The guy never got more than 3 before that.
Yeah,
That's a huge jump. People
especially
don't realize how big of a jump that is.
especially for a 28-year-old, right? Like,
Like,
it's not a guy who is in his third year. It's a guy who's played 5, 6 years now, I believe, who randomly found this great ability to move the ball, like you said.
like he had 4 assists in his first year, and then he never got higher than 3. I know he entered the year a little bit later than most players. Like he's only his 5th year in the league next year.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's Brogdon. I think that Indiana team's looking good, and he is probably the oldest player part of that core at this point. Him and Oladipo. As you already mentioned, they're probably going to trade Oladipo, and it's just going to turn into Brogdon's team more and more. I think at the beginning of last year, it was still kind of Oladipo's team, even though he wasn't playing. He was hurt. Brogdon was brought in to kind of be that complementary player, and I think he really took advantage of that opportunity, and he's doing much better than someone like Bledsoe right now. Much better position.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, too, one of the best free throw shooters in the league, not just this year, but over the last few years. I believe he was 92% 2 years ago.
92,
Yeah,
92.8 actually.
Yeah, 89% last year.
Yeah.
So that's a guy too. When you have a team who always makes the playoffs, you know that you're going to have a lot of the times deep in those games, especially in games 3, 4, whatever, where you're sealing games with foul shots. And Malcolm Brogdon is a guy who can do that. We know he's not afraid to take big shots either, which is obviously great. I don't mind him at the point guard role either. I guess it's more so just because we're used to seeing him at shooting guard. And like I said, I like Aaron Holiday a lot too. But if they could ride him off the bench and maybe make it Marcus Smart situation where Aaron Holiday actually comes to shooting guard and Brogdon is the guy who stays at point guard, that's definitely possible too. So they have a lot of good options there. And overall, I hope he can move into the top 20 because he did have such a big jump, and we'll just see where it goes from here.
That's the big thing, right? Let's see where he goes from here. Let's see where he goes from here, because that's he could be doing even better. He's young, but he could be doing even better. Some players don't hit their prime until they're 29, 30, 31. Joe Ingles is killing it. He's 34.
Yeah.
So he's got a big future ahead of him, Brogdon. So definitely all the power to him to keep on balling. But right on top of Brogdon, this player, I'm actually very surprised that we both had him at a D.